At the age of 30, our next guest was at the height of his Wall Street career. But despite his success, he left the world of finance in search of something more meaningful. After seeing films like A Place at the Table and Food Inc., he was inspired to launch a brand new nonprofit to help food-insecure families struggling with health issues like obesity. Please welcome the founder of Groceryships, Sam Polk. Got some fans in the audience.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being here tonight, Sam.
Thanks for having me.
So before getting into nonprofit work, as I mentioned, you were a successful bond trader on Wall Street. Why make the sudden life change?
Yeah, you know, I woke up one morning and I realized that I was wasting my life. You know, I was, which was a problem because I had spent my whole life trying to get to where I was. So my whole life I had these ideas of success that was like, you know, a good school and a powerful job and money above all, you know. And I worked and I worked and I finally got to this place where I was hired by a hedge fund when I was 27, and all of a sudden I was working next to two billionaires, and it was like, you know, I'd had this image in my mind for so long about, you know, what success would really look like at the end, and I finally just saw what it looked like. And it was these two guys, and they were, you know, it wasn't like they were terrible guys, but I just sort of saw that they had spent, you know, 30 years just accumulating money. And all of a sudden I just sort of realized that, like, you know, we'd been given this like wonderful gift, you know, not only like life, but also just by being like, you know, being born, you know, a white man in America, I'd effectively like won the lottery. Do you know what I mean? And it seemed like the most selfish thing I could possibly do, to just use all of that to just make more and more money.
So making the turn, I mean, why Groceryships? Why this specific outlet?
Oh, well, you know, for me personally, I have my own issues with eating. You know, I had been raised in a family where there was a lot of obesity, and I personally had been a really heavy kid. And so I was, you know, I knew the sort of emotional costs that came with that. But it wasn't until 3 years after I left Wall Street that I sat down with my wife, my beautiful wife, and we were watching A Place at the Table, and it's about hunger in America. And it was crazy, you know, because we live in Westwood, and it's sort of, you know, an idyllic neighborhood, and it's great, and A Place at the Table is about, you know, Los Angeles, and 10 miles away from us, you know, there were families that couldn't put food on the table, and there was moms, you know, trying to feed their kids. And the crazy thing is that it wasn't, you know, obesity in America looks a lot different than it does in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
You know, it's like kids, you know, you miss your first 2 meals and then you eat KFC the next one, because we have this totally toxic food culture.
Yeah, it's like you can be kind of completely nutritionally deficient, but also overweight. So tell me how Groceryships work specifically. I mean, it's not a boat full of food, right? This is it's Groceryship as in scholarship.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Scholarships for groceries. So the basic idea was to say, okay, we're going to help families buy healthy groceries for 6 months, but that's just the beginning. So really what it is a 6-month program of comprehensive education and support. So for 6 months, families, groups of 10 families at a time, meet once a week for 2 hours. And the first hour is sort of focused on like the sort of technical skills of food, sort of like nutrition education and, you know, healthy cooking and how to read a label. But I don't know about you, you know, being educated about what's nutritious or not is just part of the problem. You know, I can know plenty about, you know, how good it is to eat eggplant.
Doesn't always help you make the choice.
And then I'm
to
eating pancakes.
Eggplant,
you know what I'm saying?
exactly.
And so, and the reason for that, I think, is that there's a lot of like emotional stuff tied with food. There's like, you know, food addiction and emotional eating and eating to numb your feelings.
And these are such important issues to address. And so especially, I mean, tonight, it's Thanksgiving Eve, right? Tomorrow's the day that we often have our biggest struggles with food. So real quick, because we've got to go, but do you have any advice for people who struggle with these food issues on this eating holiday?
Yeah, the thing is that I would say is it's not just about one day. Like, your relationship with food is like a lifelong issue that has to do with like, you know, it has to do with like what role food played in your family. You know, there's a high correlation between like child abuse and obesity. So, you know, what I would suggest people do is like find a place where they can get support and groups of people that are kind of working to help you with personal transformation, like Groceryships.
That's great advice. I want to thank you so much for being here. And if you at home want to learn more, visit Groceryships.com. And now over to you, Jacob.
And while you're feeling thankful this weekend, it's a great time to remember those struggling with serious issues, especially children. December 1st is World AIDS Day. Sign the petition at takepart.com/World AIDS Day to ask Congress for a commitment to end pediatric HIV/AIDS. And stay tuned, we got some good news for you right after this.